get myself set up, and then we will try to jump into the game reasonably quickly. I want to do a little bit of setup for this just to explain what's going on, because there's there's some interesting background in terms of where all this comes from, but we don't need to rush too far. I also feel like my game. I feel like the aspect ratio is completely wrong. Huh. Hey, Algrins, how you doing? Um, this is weird. Like when I'm looking at the screen, it seems like the oh god. Maybe I'll just show you. Oh, what? Huh. Okay. Well, it just got fixed. So yeah, sorry, I'm a clown. But yeah, no. When I was in OBS, it looked like it was a 4:3 window, and then I was going to move it to the main monitor to show you all of you what it looked like, and then it set itself back. But the reason why I try and take some time to sort that sort of stuff out is how many years of clown college do you have? I have a lifetime of experience. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I always take stuff like that as an indicator that I should take a look at the stream and make sure everything's going smoothly. But turns out I was worrying about nothing. I am really sore. So I got my bivalent vaccine 2 days ago. Around I think 2 or 3 o'clock the day following, I had really bad chills. Like I was shivering, but I didn't like realize how bad it was until I stopped working and I got up and like I just felt kind of all the tension, and then like it was when I realized just how much I was actually shaking. So that didn't feel good. But I kind of crashed into the next day. Sorry, this is totally not related to the game we're going to be playing, but I figured that we'll warm everyone up with tales of woe. Um, but yeah, so the next day, even then, like I wasn't feeling great, and my boss, to their credit, did not require me to kind of come in for that day. Also, the person who I was in the like is the person who's on my team wasn't coming in, so like the whole idea of having an in-person meeting was like kind of pointless. So I do credit my workplace with not like not being that unreasonable. There are issues that I have with it, but they're nice enough to to at least not do obviously stupid things. Or maybe not stupid, but like overtly hostile. Let's say, right? If you're feeling not great, and they're still going to insist that you come in for a meeting when a third of the team is not going to be there, um, that's not exactly the sort of thing that would foster a warm and trusting relationship. But I'm kind of feeling it now. Like again, I'm feeling kind of the effects of being sort of all tensed up and like ah. And then the other thing that I didn't realize was I I was like just kind of tidying up during kind of during my lunch break, and just kind of smoothing out the sheets and everything like that. And I'm like, why the hell are my sheets damp? And like I finally realized is like, oh yeah, because I was it's because I was sweating tremendously. So yeah, I like the way I'm feeling is better, except for this ache now. But like it's very similar to the first reaction that I had to the vaccine. And the thing is just because I've been really just pushing hard for work, I wasn't you know wasn't really recognizing it. Anyways, you didn't come here for a video blog. I just wanted a chance for everybody to come in, and all of a sudden, there's a lot of you here. So thank you, everybody, for stopping by. Valiant Cheese, it is very good to see you. In fact, before we go any further, let me just take a quick second here and mention Valiant Cheese, who is a game developer currently working on their own thing called Bonesweeper. And if you would like to watch the development, you can go over to their channel. Cheese is a really nice guy, based in Tasmania. And how you doing, Index? No, it's strategy game tonight, and probably something a little bit closer to your taste compared to Godless. But in any case, Valiant Cheese is a game developer, practices open game development, and actually really does encourage and supports fellow developers. In fact, there's another member of the community who Warhammer, when I was doing that, saying that to Johnny. Oh, hang on, I think you were in Johnny's channel when I was bugging him for Warhammer. Sorry, I thought it was Index Gnome asking for Warhammer Hammer. I was like, oh, that's surprising. But yeah, no. So there's a member of the community who Valiant Cheese has given some advice to. We've got, if you are interested in game development, he does do a couple of community events in his own community. It does a much more active Discord than I do. He's also put the time into making sure that he has an active Discord, so that's also a helpful thing. But he does Blends Day, so for those of you who want to sharpen your Blender skills, he does that. And on top of that, he has his own Patreon. He does his own games. And all of the tools that he uses are free and open source ones. So, oh yeah, well, you should see mine, Cheese. Yours is quite active compared to what I have. The thing is, like, everybody's got a Discord, and like for me, most people's engagement with me, I think, comes through Twitch and sometimes on YouTube. So it's hard to see exactly what purpose the Discord is serving. As opposed to someone like you, where you have things like Blends Day and where you'll have a number of different activities that people can participate with. How you doing, Johnny Mortem? But in any case, I wanted to take a second just to mention not just Cheese as a person, but also some of the things that they do, because number one, some of you might be interested in participating. But number two, like I said, he uses free and open source tools. If you have ever wondered how you can go from, some very basic geometry and a few lines of code to the types of games that, you maybe got you into playing games in the first place, Cheese is a really good channel to check that sort of stuff out for, because a lot of his development, not all, but like a considerable portion of it, is something that he actually shares online. And again, it's just something nice about the fact that they're all tools that you're not necessarily behind some kind of a pay barrier, or there's something kind of neat about the way that he approaches it. And of course, if you're looking for credentials, as his comments have already suggested, Valiant Cheese used to work with Defiant, who are a number of people who used to be at Defiant. I don't think everyone, but number of ex-Defiant developers are working on Capes. And he's also done some work with, I was going to say Telltale, but that's not the right one. It's the other people who do, oh God, Double Fine. Thank you. Sorry, I got it now. Double Fine. Yeah, there we go. I think you said you liked Massive Chalice, but you didn't work on it. I think you worked on Day of the Tentacle, though, and Full Throttle. But Index wanted to pick up a new game when you got home, Superpower 3. After seeing reviews and someone playing it, you did go to the pub instead. Worst release of 2022. Oh, that is a shame. That was interesting because I actually saw I didn't get a key, like a request to cover it, but I did get an email sort of saying if you'd like to request a key for Superpower 3, follow this up. And I was like, oh, well, is somebody in the... Yeah, I know, I know, based in Sherbrooke. I was I was actually thinking of putting in a request for that because you'd mentioned it, but I'm sorry to hear that didn't pan out. You were contracted to do work on Day of the Tentacle in Full Throttle, less formally helped out with Grim Fandango, and you love Massive Chalice. Okay, so I do at least have some functioning memory. All right, so with all of that in mind, what is this game? What are we doing here? Or am I going to talk about something other than myself? So, based on social media, where are we going? Here we go. Capes, the first NFT game for children, www.capesgame.com. Now, Capes makes NFTs for sale for just 0.2 Ethereum to let everyone hold their first hashtag NFTs, OpenSea.io/collection/CapesGenesis. And this will be the first NFT game that we play. Sorry, Valiant Cheese is expressing their displeasure on this. Did I get the wrong? You know, there's a cryptocurrency called that. I didn't realize it was a cryptocurrency, but okay. So yes, as you may have noticed, that we are not in fact playing the baby's first NFT. What we are going to be playing is the turn-based strategy game. People are always talking about it's high time. That's almost like brace yourself having to deal with Crypto of the Necrodancer. But anyways, as I was mentioning, Spitfire Interactive is by it's former Defiant developers. They've been sponsored in Adweek. They are responsible for a number of from 2011. They're checking out Google Plus. So far, so good. So as you can see, search engine optimization might be a little bit tricky for the Capes team. But I'm glad I turned that off. This is what would have come up after closing that other window. What did I just walk into? Important things, Vanguard Master. But no, Capes is we'll actually have it here in a second if it shows up on my monitor. There we go. Capes, the pre-release demo. 20 years ago, the supervillains won. Capes, the debut title from Spitfire Interactive, is a turn-based superhero tactics game where you put together a team of young heroes to take the city back. This demo offers an early look at some of the action in Capes across a selection of missions. The demo begins with an early level where you're sending 2 of your heroes to rescue a third. Thanks for looking at Capes, Spitfire Interactive. The main monitor wildly flashes, alert, spatial reorg and remote cognition detected. The hell does that mean? Means the time is over. You two are up. Something out there is using powers. Make sure you bring them in before they fall into company hands. Ewart and Diamond Dome, let's roll. Sarkar residence, Kensington Heights. You sure we're doing the right thing here? How do you mean? Joining up with his weird old man's obsessive revenge trip. Coming out here and roping other people into this? Not even slightly. If the company gets their hands on that kid, they'll get vanished like every other soup in this town. Doc's strange, but he's gotta be better than that. Is pulling that kid into our crazy lifestyles the lesser of two evils? I sure hope so. Shit! Too late! This is the company. Illegal superhuman activity has been detected at this location. Surrender the cape and nobody gets hurt. Leave us be! You've done nothing wrong. That garbage can really wants to get up the stairs. What do we do now? It's a lot of agents. Can we take them? Suspect is non-compliant. Terminal force authorized. Okay, boys. Kick in and fuck them up. Blow the door out and form up. Okay, there we go. Garbage cans. I said leave us Alone! Backup. We need backup. Now's our chance. Let me take the lead. Typical man. Alright, move. Use move points to get in range of enemies and to protect your team. Typical man is his superhero name. Action. Use action points to perform actions such as attack or disarm enemies with weapons. Use Crystallize to protect Facet from enemy damage. Position your hero close to allies to team up and gain access to more powerful actions. Charge your hero and unleash their unique ultimate power. Highlight a hero to see how they build their ultimate charge. Enemies can pick up and carry weapons that cause extra damage or other combat effects. It is often best to disarm these enemies before they can be used against the team. Each hero has a dedicated disarm action, which can be used to disarm a weapon or prevent a powerful attack. Additionally, some actions cause disarm, such as rebounds, teleport spin. Try disarming enemies during combat. Alright, so, I did try a little bit of this, I tried a little bit of this before going online. Usually whenever I try out a new game for stream, what I'll usually do is like play a few rounds and just generally make sure the thing doesn't completely, blow up, 10 seconds into the broadcast. So there's definitely a couple things that I really messed up on in terms of just generally understanding how the game works. But let's do a review. We'll review Facet's actions before I spend too much time. One thing I might want to do actually is use Rebound instead, because they're a little bit faster moving and I'll have a better idea in terms of what I can actually accomplish. But so we've got 5 movement points right now. We've got Crystallize, gain damage reduction, reduces movement, cannot be knocked back while in effect. So reduction in terms 50% reduction, but I lose 2 movement points. Shard Strike, damage and knock back all enemies in range. Disarm an adjacent enemy. Growth, block a cell or prevent an enemy from moving on their next turn, prevents opportunity attacks. And then this is the linked ability. So if my teammate is in range, Rebound allows relocation to a new location in range, ignores obstacles and elevation. So if I hit that... Oh, I think I get the idea here. So one thing that I could do is I could Crystallize and then let Rebound sort of move me to a better spot. But I think that's fine, because Rebound should be able to move in on these two on their own. So the game did say we want to disarm. So I'll start by... Okay, that's going to take everything. Start simple. Now, I can't do disarm again, but I thought what I might try here is Shard Strike and see if I can just bang the two of them together. Okay, so that doesn't disarm the guy. That's going to be bad luck for Facet. Now, range strike that damages single target. Facet increases the damage of the strike by 0.5. Okay, so if I team up with Facet, then I get to I get some bonus damage. But what I said I wanted to do was disarm these two and teleport. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so I may not actually be able to do the move that I want. Close, but it doesn't actually accomplish the thing that I want and arguably puts me in a difficult position. Well, let's commit. Oh, you know what? Shadow Blast probably would have done the trick. Should have read all my powers. Alright, so the thing that's going to suck here is that I'm going to get hit with the baton. And that might actually be enough to take this unit out. That's fine. We'll figure it out. Bonk. Oh, just causes a delay. You're only making me more powerful. Okay. So, I'm going to start by disarming. Oh, right. Forgot about the attack of opportunity. So I should have crystallized first, but start by disarming. This will make him a little more survivable. This reminds you of City of Heroes and your online RPG server days. Okay, so I do get the option of moving some more, but I don't exactly want to give them any more attacks of opportunity, so we will hit next here. So the easiest thing for me to do would be disarm, right? And stay down. Now, I think I wind up... So I'm not actually, I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure whether or not he gets an attack of opportunity if I walk away like this. The problem is that I'm done for... Huh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Rebound's in trouble. But here's what we'll do. I'm actually going to try moving around the edge here. Okay. So I'll at least get the backstab bonus. And then I'll try and move to a position where we might be able to get helped. Oh, okay, went far enough away. Keep hitting him! We can break him! Hey, Takri! Okay, so, let's figure out what I want to do with, oh, actually it's gonna... I think actually maybe I should probably focus a bit. I'll focus on the task at hand first. So, let's go... Yeah, Shard Strike seems to work. I'm trying to think if... I can't remember if disarm actually did damage or not. It did not. Alright. Well, I probably should have done growth, but it's probably not bad to learn this stuff in the tutorial. So, let's go... Oop. Yeah, I'm fine going to the next turn. It's a little weird that it's warning me against... against ending the turn, because a movement would obviously cause me trouble. Okay, move position and range and damage all adjacent enemies, causes disarm, cause damage from behind for bonus damage. So the temptation would be to do this, but then this guy's going to turn around and clobber rebound, which maybe isn't the done thing. You know what? Make sure that they focus on the right target. You're gonna have to hit him harder than that. Okay, so we've got our ultimate, but it seems like a waste to use it now, so we'll just do a good old-fashioned Shard Strike. We're really looking worse for wear. Wait, did I miss something? Damage and knockback all in him. Okay, no, because he still has actions to do. Well, I've already got my ultimate, so it seems like a waste not to... Don't mess with us, creeps. How dare you come here? We're good people, and my boy has done nothing wrong. Leave us be. Mom, be cool. These two are the Resistance, I guess. They're gonna ask me to join them. I'm going to say yes. I love you. I feel like we're late to the party here. How come you know all that? Who said you wanted to join up? We're real exclusive. And who said we wanted you to join up? We're real exclusive. No, you're not. I pulled it out of your mind as you approached. He's hard to read, but you are very loud. You better get moving. There's not a lot of time. Arthur, wait. What if they see what you are? What if the company takes away my only son? It's okay, Mom. We knew we couldn't hide forever. It's time. We're agents. Let me handle this. As you can see, garbage cans were on sale when they made this. Mindfire is an attacker who uses the power of his mind to make enemies vulnerable with his ranged telekinesis attack. Mindfire is the most effective attack against enemies with high health. Use Mindfire's vulnerable ability to weaken the enemy. Okay. So, target sustains more damage when attacked. Attacks on vulnerable targets increase Mindfire's charge. Ah, my head! Any hero who attacks a vulnerable enemy will inflict additional damage and charge Mindfire's barrage ability. Bought them in bulk. Use Mindfire's telekinesis action to defeat the enemy and charge Mindfire's ultimate. Mindfire's Barrage ultimate causes extreme damage to a single target. Use Mindfire's Barrage ultimate to defeat the enemy. Remind me to not get on your bad side. Is that the last of them? We gotta bounce before more show. About that. Okay, now my movement's limited, so as cool as it would be to do this, this ultimate. Actually, one thing that's nice is we do get our health back. So I could uncrystallize. Now that's not gonna let me be as effective. Well, yeah, no. Let's see what we can. Let's see what we can do. Ooh, promising. I think they're the government Algrins. And it reminds you of Dhalsim. Well, I've not really played much in the way of fighters, so I obviously know what Dhalsim is, but I couldn't really comment beyond the obvious. Also, welcome Flarashi. I don't know if you're someone who comes from cheese or not, but actually, what exactly are you? But are you properly a member of Spitfire, or are you just kind of consulting for them? If you don't mind me asking. You're in his chat. Okay, sorry, I totally wasn't paying attention. Apparently, I only pay attention to my own comments in his channel. Okay, so we could do a ranged attack that damages a single target. Mindfire distracts the target, turning them away from rebound to ensure that the strike deals backstab. So that's pretty tempting on its own. I kind of need to make sure that they're taken out. Yeah, why not? Ooh, these boys make me mad. All right. Oh, but I'm not allowed to do a regular attack now. Dang. Okay, well, this is a little bit of a waste of the teleport spin, but... You're contracting with Spitfire, running their QA team and helping out with miscellaneous bits and pieces here and there. Contributed a small code fix yesterday, fixed an art bug last week, etc. Now, I did not realize that I could get away with the ultimate. So the ultimate, actually, you can do after you do your actions. I didn't realize this before. So a series of powerful ranged attacks that damage multiple random targets in an area. Now, one thing I am kind of curious about is whether or not those attacks would destroy the... Well, actually, what I should have read about Immobilized was the fact that they're still going to be able to attack with their pistols. So you know what, let's try the ultimate anyway. If it's 5 attacks, 2 per attack... let's see if we get lucky. Then again, I also have Mind Fire afterwards. Okay, yeah, so it does break them out of their prisons. Shouldn't there be 2? I feel like if there's 10 damage total... Oh wait, no, we hit the strong guy. Never mind. Okay, next turn. Okay, so we probably want to at least disable the... And is this a... Okay, yeah, so we'll just move into the middle. This is really more because I can. It's hypnotic. Maybe it's an Easter egg, so let's follow and see what he's looking for. I bet it's going to be a garbage can if we just keep following the direct... There we go! A bounty, an embarrassment of garbage cans. Alright, anyways. That was a considerably better run than before. Oh, didn't get to read the dialogue. I have to go, Mum. Be strong. All this city is upside down. No son should have to tell his mother to be strong. Go. Go and do what's right, even when what is right is hard. And you two, take care of my son. He's just a baby. Mom, I'm not... I'm ready for this. Huh? All good? What? Yes, of course. To start jumping at shadows, you need to fit in. So... Oh, Rebound and Facet show Mindfire to his room. The high-tech fancy superhero boarding rooms of the Lodge have long since fallen into disrepair, converted to temporary dwellings. Covered with faded clippings, some newspapers, and dust. So I live here now? Yep, welcome to the glitzy lifestyle of the city's last superheroes. Superheroes are dead. Have been for a long time. Well, wait till you meet the old man. You're gonna get along great. Don't let the fact that we're out of fashion put you off. Someone has to sort this shit out. Why not us? The three heroes sit in a large open space that was once the board table of the Lodge. The seat backs, dusty and broken, still display the logos of the heroes that once sat upon these chairs. 20 years ago, this used to be the meeting place for the world's most powerful heroes. Long forgotten, nobody cares. Now there's 3 of us. Want to let us know what you're planning? I'm planning to do what we should have done. Sorry, I'm planning to do what we always should have done. I'm assuming this is a reference to the comedian, by the way. Make this a free city. If I had to rip it from the, if I have to rip it bloody from the hands of the company, that's just a bonus. Once you're rid of them, who's gonna run stuff? Cross that bridge when we come to it. Awesome. A power vacuum and anarchy? Sounds like a great plan. Good job. Yep. I don't give 2 sloppy shits. This ain't a democracy. Besides, we got bigger fish to fry now. The company knows you're about. We're going to need more soldiers ready for the fight. Get some sleep. You'll need it. It is weird. I didn't quite realize how sweary the game is. I'm assuming, like, I'm the problem with a lot of like references that I wind up making is, how do I put it? Like, I genuinely enjoy movies, television shows. I don't know as much about comics as I feel like I should. So, like, I could, if I try and think, how do I put it? Like, well, I mean, I could probably I could probably list off all the different comics that I've read. So, Watchmen, Preacher, Promethea, which I really liked. I've read 1 or 2 issues of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I think that's a really good idea for a series. I read Lost Girls, actually, which is definitely uncharacteristic for me. My local library had that, of all places. From Hell. So, like, once I read Watchmen, I'm like, who is this Alan Moore man? And I must read more of this. Yeah, Promethea really caught my attention. I have read The Boys now. Actually, I much prefer The Boys, the comic, to the TV series. I feel like, I know the TV series has a reputation for being quite extreme, but it definitely feels like they pulled back quite a bit from that comic series. And, like, the show's not bad. There's definitely some good moments in it, but I'm not entirely sure. Like, I don't know. I'd probably, if given the choice, I'd probably just read the series again. It's, again, not to say that it's bad. Just, I don't think it hasn't quite caught me the same way. Transmetropolitan. I think that's it. Yeah, so Transmetropolitan, Watchmen, From Hell, Promethea. Preacher, I don't think I mentioned. The Boys. That's big. Yeah, so, like, not even I just get onto the second hand when it comes to counting. I didn't even know The Tick was a comic. I always knew of that as like a TV series and a comic, or and a cartoon. Yeah, I don't think I have the South Park games. Interesting. But yeah, anyways, so the reason why I'm going on this tangent and all that, like, so I guess there is something of a debate as to whether or not we are enjoying a golden age of creation, or if the culture is not producing magnificent works quite the of quite the same caliber as it used to. And I'm actually going to go I'm going to go so far as to say I'm not actually going to take a particular position on it. But I think one of the better bits of evidence that you would have for decline would be that all the references seem to be about other other shows or other movies. And to a certain extent, 'twas ever thus, right? Like, if you have not read Ovid, you're probably going to think that there's a lot more original material in Shakespeare than there probably really is. But I think it would also be fair to say that quite a bit of what's going into Shakespeare's stuff is not just, references to other literary works. And then if I consider a lot of the stuff that at least sort of I know a lot of my friends seem to enjoy, a lot of it really does have... Well, actually, I don't even need to say the stuff that my friends really enjoy. When I think of stuff that I think is, like, very mediocre, like, it could be, like, not necessarily bad, but there's not a whole lot more than is there on the surface. It winds up being the sort of stuff that doesn't really have more to say other than I've seen the following films. But the reason why I kind of hold back. So I actually put it to you this way. I've got two poles of an argument. I'll actually pull up, because I've already mentioned Alan Moore. I'm actually going to pull up the quote from him just to see if I can get. It was after he did. Where is it? This is in reference to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Century, which I haven't actually read. But he's having a conversation with John Higgs. This will relate to the game, by the way. But yeah, so he's referring to his work, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Century. He says, I got quite a bit of criticism for that. I know I could try and do the Alan Moore voice, like, I got quite a bit of criticism for that. I know that people were saying after reading the third book it was my equivalent of saying it were old fields around here once. Sorry, anyways. I got quite a bit of criticism for that. I know that people were saying after reading the third book that it was my equivalent of saying it were all fields around here once, which it wasn't. That wasn't what I was saying. What I was saying was that I don't think it's unfair to choose the Threepenny Opera as representing a big important cultural event of 1910. I don't think it was unfair choosing Donald Cammell's performance as... I would never want to belong to any club that would have someone like me for a member. Now, why didn't it show who that... Thank you, whoever... Thank you, whoever followed. Oh, okay, thank you, Florashi. Anyways, what I was saying was that I don't think it's unfair to choose the Threepenny Opera as representing a big important cultural event of 1910. I don't think that it was unfair choosing Donald Cammell's performance as representing a big important cultural event in 1969. And I don't think it was unfair choosing J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter as representing a big cultural event of the 21st century. I would say that if you were to plot those things along a graph, the line isn't going up. I think that it's a fair comment that our approach to culture in the mainstream has degenerated. I wasn't saying that all culture in the late 21st century was rubbish, or I wasn't saying that culture was doomed. I was saying that mainstream culture is becoming repetitive, was not having original ideas, would no longer be capable of coming up with a performance, let alone a Threepenny Opera. Now, I'm actually quite sympathetic to that point of view. As you might sort of guess, from that idea that, again, a lot of stuff that I've seen that I felt was quite mediocre um, tends to be, how do I put it? Like a lot of it kind of is more referring to itself. And I mean, part of that might even just simply be following particular trends, right? So if you see something like Minecraft be successful, it's not entirely surprising that you see a number of, survival crafting games. And again, that doesn't mean that you are incapable of producing good work out of that. This War of Mine is a tremendous game. And I would argue probably a game that wouldn't necessarily be as effective in conveying what it has to say by, if you don't kind of have this grammar for how survival crafting games tend to work. So, there's a lot that you can sort of challenge in terms of what Alan Moore is saying there. And yet I do think that it's maybe fair to say that we maybe have, we're maybe a little too willing to reference and emulate than maybe we might have been before. But as I said, there is, another pole to this argument, and I actually really like referring to Joel Waldfogel's paper here. Now, this is maybe a little bit more advanced reading than I would normally kind of give to people, but I actually think this is a wonderful resource. This is a journal called the Journal of Economic Perspectives. So I'll put it to you this way. The level of reading for this would be between, on the low end of the graph, you've got, a particularly clever editorial for the New York Times. And then on the right-hand side or the upper side end of the graph, you've got Econometrica, or like something where you're going to see more Greek letters than a classics text. And the Journal of Economic Perspectives is nice in the sense that it's specialists talking about a field that they know well. So Joel Waldfogel is quite well known for his work in sort of, I guess you'd maybe call it media economics. He did a paper on Napster back when Napster was a thing, for instance. I wound up referring to his stuff a lot. Apparently Napster is a thing now, but he did Napster back when it was about piracy. I think he was like one of the first people to actually like cover things like music piracy and that. But in any case, this I think might even be sort of anticipating a book that he might. I can't remember if he's made a book or if this is just another journal article. But in this case here, one of the things that's useful for Journal of Economic Perspectives is that maybe if you're among the initiated, if you're in the know, so like maybe you're a labor economist, but you want to know more about, some macro topic. One thing that will happen for the JEP will be that you can read it. And again, you've got a specialist in that field. It is a higher level discussion. So again, if you find that that's, above your level, that's not a failing of you. But it's not quite the same as like reading a major, econ journal. And this one I particularly like because as you can get a picture from what's going on, how digitization has created a golden age of music, movies. Actually, I guess I can put the screen on. Oops. Apparently I can't. There we go. Digitization is disrupting a number of copyright-protected media industries, including books, music, radio, television, and movies. Once information is transformed into digital form, it can be copied and distributed at near zero marginal costs. This change has facilitated piracy in some industries, which in turn has made it difficult for commercial sellers to continue generating the same levels of revenue for bringing products to market in the traditional ways. Yet despite the sharp revenue reductions for recorded music, as well as threats in revenue to some other traditional media industries, other aspects of digitization have had the offsetting effects of reducing the costs of bringing new products to market in music, movies, books, and television. On balance, digitization has increased the number of new products that are created and made available to consumers. Moreover, given the unpredictable nature of product quality, growth in new products has given rise to substantial increases in the quality of the best products. Although there were concerns that consumer welfare from media products would fall, the opposite scenario has emerged, a golden age for consumers who wish to consume media products. Now, I know I missed some references in chat, which I'll pick up now. I'll take those on board now. So Takri says, I feel like art in general has always kind of been repetitive. Like there are only a handful of original ideas that, and they already happen. So now everyone is just mixing and matching. And, again, that's not entirely unfair. I mean, even if you consider, so I think probably when most people think of fine art, a lot of the images that they're tending to think of will be depictions of Bible stories. So, there's a number of very famous themes that get constantly done over and over and over again. And I think it's fair to say, if you're a writer, if you're a painter, if you're a filmmaker, there's a ton of stuff where, you will be studying from the masters and you'll be learning more. So, I mean, again, the thing that's also important to remember is that Alan Moore is in conversation with another writer, defending some decisions that he made in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Century, which incidentally I have not yet read. And so, I'm not in a position to say whether or not Moore's critics are, have a point, or whether or not his defense is particularly, whether he's kind of trying to have it both ways. But I am still sympathetic to his, his particular point of view. The example I would maybe want to take would be he's giving the example of the line not going up. And I guess the question that I would have asked would be, is it fair to put Harry Potter in the same category as performance with Threepenny Opera? Because there are a number of cultural moments, Harry Potter being one of them, which might fit that bill. So why in the world am I going on this big long tangent and all of that? Well, it's basically because, I made a reference to the happy face on the mustachioed man who I'm sure has a name and I completely missed at the time that it was mentioned. I mean, obviously I'm going to say there, it's okay, well, this is almost certainly a Watchmen reference. And certainly the underground leader who wants to achieve their ends at at any cost. Oh, is his name Doctrine? Clearly similarities to Butcher from The Boys. And it's actually the interesting parallel between both of those characters. I believe Butcher is former SAS, and of course the comedian is also a veteran. And of course you can see that Doctrine has dog tags on. So whether this is a connection with Butcher, the comedian, or a reflection of the fact that both of these characters, who likely are inspirations for this particular character, the fact that there are dog tags on there might also be a recognition of the fact that you have both of these influences. But the reason why I particularly wanted to point this out is that this game also exists in a world where Marvel's Midnight Suns has been announced. Now, Marvel's Midnight Suns looks really interesting. But I'm pretty sure when Spitfire set out to make capes, they did not say, we want to go toe-to-toe with the developer that can basically kind of claim to be the leading light of turn-based strategy, arguably reinvigorated the genre with their reimagining of XCOM. Obviously, turn-based was still a thing with Civilization, but of course that's a Firaxis game as well. But I would say that probably the interest in turn-based tactics games has certainly been renewed as a result of what they've done with XCOM and its sequels. And yet, I think this will be an interesting way in terms of comparing the two games, because of course Marvel's Midnight Sun is a branded property. It's going to be something that, exists inside of the Marvel universe, and that doesn't mean that there aren't interesting stories to be told there. I mean, I've spent a lot of time talking about Alan Moore because he's really the one that I know, and even he has done work inside of existing properties. So I think he was attached to Swamp Thing at some point, and I know he did a Batman story. But what's interesting here, right, is that Midnight Suns is going to basically exist inside of the Marvel universe. It's going to be characters that people have certain expectations and certain priors about. Whereas this particular game has the opportunity to sort of tell its own thing. And there's two ways that you can do that, which is either you leave a trail of breadcrumbs, so that people who know the right shibboleths, the people who read a lot of comics, are going to pick up on the references. Or alternatively, what it can do is it can offer its own spin on sort of the ideas of superhero stories. And I mean, again, it's got the interesting hook. What if the bad guys won? What if superheroes are outlawed? I mean, again, that's an idea that's in more so the Watchmen. Well, no, I guess that's kind of present in Watchmen, but really explicit in some of the follow-ups to the Watchmen stuff. And then, there was another example that I had for this. Right, The Boys, which, it didn't... One thing I really like about The Boys is that the idea of, like, maybe the kinds of people that you would choose as heroes, or who, like, what would a hero be like in the real world? And the answer is somebody who is incredibly disturbed and probably you would not want to have anything to do with if you had the choice. What I really liked about The Boys was more what it kind of has to say about celebrity and who we choose as our role models and such. And so I guess one of the things that I would be interested in terms of capes, and, it may go down this road or it may not, but it would actually be kind of interesting to see whether or not it follows that source material in the sense of, building on those foundations and saying something kind of neat through those conventions. And that could potentially be a way that it differentiates itself from Midnight Suns. I also think Midnight Suns is also going to be focused a lot. Like, I think there's going to be another set of things that it's focused on. So, but inevitably with two turn-based tactics games with superheroes, it's impossible not to, to compare the two. But just when we see those kinds of references, I was like, okay, so this is actually where it could get really, really interesting. And because I guess the reason why I wanted to go on this rant was because to a certain extent, we've gotten almost like the monkey's paw wish fulfillment in terms of being nerds. So, like, if you think of it, right, who could imagine, science fiction and fantasy stuff becoming so mainstream? Like, my cool friends were explaining the relationships between the houses in Game of Thrones because I had never seen the series. Like, that is the level to which science fiction and fantasy material has become mainstream. I have people who would, like, go out to clubs on a regular basis and, like, go on dates and, like, be fit and attractive explaining the complicated relationships of Westeros to me because I hadn't seen it yet. And of course now, like, the biggest and most expensive shows, right? It's all comic book stuff. It's, Lord of the Rings television shows. It's Song of Ice and Fire spin-offs that's dominating the production at the highest level. Now, whether or not that's a good thing, right, is another question. Or, like, even thinking of Dune, right? Like, could you imagine Dune getting the kind of budget that it did, 20, 30 years before? Obviously, Dune is a bad example because there was the David Lynch Dune, but David Lynch Dune is a considerably different scale of movie than the Denis Villeneuve one. They always said in high school that the nerds would be the popular ones one day. It's so mainstream that people can be rich from playing D&D. That's actually a really good point. That is true. There were a number of things that went into Lynch's Dune before. I mean, you could also make in that case, you could also make the argument for the first Spider-Man movie before like Marvel movies became Marvel movies, because I think James Cameron was attached to a Spider-Man. James Cameron was attached to a Spider-Man film at some point too, and I mean, like, there's been a Batman year one script running around for a while. I think Darren Aronofsky was attached to that. So like, that's the hard part of doing that kind of accounting, right? Is like, there's the amount of money that gets spent on like doing stuff that never gets brought up to like never gets filmed. But I personally find it useful to kind of start the accounting for the film that makes it to to camera or to the cameras, just because, like, once upon a time there was an Alien 3 script that took place on a wooden planet, for crying out loud. So it's someone, I actually think William Gibson might have also worked on an Alien 3 story at some point. Anyways, neither here nor there. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there is a very wide perspective or a wide range of experiences that you can get when it comes to these kinds of settings. And I think one of the things that tends to be more interesting is that when you are maybe considered to be the scrappy upstart, or when you're in the face of something that's a lot more like usually if you're working in a franchise, one of the things you're relying on is the instant recognizability. One of the ways that you can, compete is just to do something original, or, again, you take the fact that you don't have to sort of deal with all of these existing ideas, and you can use that either to tell, I don't want to say an original story, because I think you can still tell original stories within franchises, but maybe you have an opportunity to punch above your weight by taking some of the conventions, but not necessarily being so beholden to the expectations of the audience. Now, whether any of that stuff comes through or not, I don't know, but I figured it was not bad to, well, number one, like I said, I want to get that rant off my chest, because obviously when you think about the influence of these kinds of stories on contemporary culture, it can be a big, this can be a big topic. But number two, having now played this initial mission, these are some of the things that I'm thinking of where I'm saying, it's like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder where it's going. Is this going to be sort of like, we didn't want to pay the licensing right for The Boys, but we're basically going to tell the story of The Boys? Or is it, we're actually going to take a bunch of stuff which we like and we're excited about, but here's our contribution to, some of these other stories that we think are going in interesting directions. And again, feel free to mention all the other references that I've missed, because like I said, I really do not have a lot of background when it comes to comics. In fact, I haven't even seen the Watchmen. I've seen one episode of the HBO Watchmen, and I really liked it. It's a really good soundtrack for it too. But I really have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to most of this stuff. Cheese says, I guess the perspective I was coming at was that some people with money believed enough in Dune to throw money at trying to make something big, and presumably trying to capture a big enough audience to make that back, which would push back against the idea of it being niche. I mean, maybe, but like, they're doing that with Lord of the Rings too. Mindfire, class attacker. Mindfire has managed to live, which, I mean, I guess as a counterpoint to what I'm trying to say, I do not think it would be fair to compare Dune as realized, even including the earlier work. I mean, also Dino De Laurentiis. Well, yeah, I won't even go into that particular one. I do not think it's a fair comparison between the legendary films Dune and the level of attention and star power that went into that, compared to Dune as realized by Lynch or the previous creators. but it's also, it's like, it's not the thing that I want to, like, that's not a hill I'm gonna die on, and it's definitely not a hill I'm gonna sacrifice the stream on. So I'll just maybe say it's a point of disagreement, but it is not one that I will elaborate on. Mindfire has managed to live below the radar of the company, using his telekinetic powers to hide his presence. That part of his life is over now. His biggest concern is that the company will hurt his family, now that he's no longer there to protect them. Mindfire is a heavy hitter, and his ultimate is charged every time an enemy he has made vulnerable is damaged. Okay, so we can wishlist it, and we can add the Discord. I think it'll give me a link to... Oh, that's the Defiant Discord. Anyways, for those of you who don't want to play the game for whatever reason, please do download the demo and play it, and wishlist it, and do all that other good stuff. So if I really wanted to do the... if I wanted to do the mission again, we could do the simulator. But no, let us do the story. Let us play Weathervane. Unlock the new hero Weathervane and Facet's Shield Shard ability. As missions progress, the team gains new abilities and upgrades, and more heroes are recruited to fight back against the company. Select heroes, abilities, and upgrades are automatically unlocked during this demo. Unlocked new hero Weathervane, Facet's Shield Shard ability. That's right, you have no familiarity with the boys, so you can't speak to the comparison. In general, I like what the story does and feel like it goes interesting places. Well, we will see. Oh, all right then. Special. Taken prisoner by the company and subjected to any number of terrifying experiments, TJ didn't hesitate at the opportunity to fight back. An accomplished athlete, he's taken to training his powers just like he used to train his body, effectively and endlessly. Weathervane's unique powers let him push and pull enemies into position, and his ultimate is charged every time he hits with his chain lightning. Okay, so I guess... Oh, okay, we get a bunch of upgrades. Cool. So I think this is something I already have, so what does this get me? Oh, never mind then. Screw you, demo. Crossed lines. Facet gets a call from an old friend. Protect the witness, round limit, use Facet's ultimate, use Facet's shield shard, and no hero KOs. A call comes in over Facet's comms. Bino, man, it's great to hear from you. But how the heck did you get my digits? I've got clients downtown and uptown these days. Anything that's worth knowing, somebody knows. Besides, your mom told me. And here I was going to give you credit for being a crack investigator. Not me. I've always been a better trial lawyer than detective. That's been obvious since law school. Serious for a mo, though. You trained in civil justice, and now you're out punching bad guys and leaping buildings with a single bound? How you doing? Your mom was worried. It's pretty worrying, if I'm real about it. Some days I don't even know whether what we're doing is helping. Well, about that. Client has some info on a local boss. That's why I've come looking you up. It's Bill. He's an engineer for the rail company, but really that's one of WildStar's fronts. I'm worried they're going to try and do something to him before he can get to the witness stand. Say no more. I'll keep an eye out. Facet leaves. Hey, Facet. Okay, so we get to pick the characters. In this case, obviously, we get everyone. So Defender, Striker, Attacker, and Special. I'll be honest, I'm not... So when I look at these titles, I'm like, I don't know what the difference between a Striker and Attacker would be, and I have no idea what Special is supposed to mean. But we'll find out by playing. Boss says to make sure you don't talk. Please, I won't tell them anything. Yeah, right. Only way to make sure of that. One way to make sure of that. Right, boys? Shit, there's more heat on here than Beto let on. It's a lot of goons to take on solo. Too much to handle, eh? Guess it's just as well we run as a pack. Did you follow me? A little bit. For doctrine? Just for the view. Doc wanted to make sure nobody went out alone, not after Rebound headed out. Handled that just fine. Way to spoil the moment. Speaking of spoiling the moment, we better move quick. If we don't do something, they're going to do a number on this guy. Right, I'll draw their attention away from the witness, and you take him out. Alright, Crystal Boy, lead the way. I like this. I like the music on this. Okay. So let's try and be a little more thoughtful in terms of how we handle... So one thing was I was completely ignoring the turn order. Next... Okay, so I'm assuming this means that they explode. Volatile explodes, causing damage and fire to adjacent spaces when destroyed. I don't know how many... So, like, normally if you hit, like, control or something like that, it'll kind of tell you the area of effect, but I don't know... Well, I guess if it says adjacent, it's just going to be one tile each, but I don't... I'm going to assume that these count as beside each other, but it's kind of hard to tell. Okay. So let's try and be a little more thoughtful this time in terms of how the mission works. So one thing that I am going to want to do is basically make sure that Facet gets the crap beaten out of him. Okay, that's attacks of opportunity, I'm guessing. So I'm going to try something here. I think I'm going to go one to the side. So this is basically my setup to make sure that Facet gets ready to get beaten up. Alright. Damage a single target at range. Weather Vane adds 1 knockback to the area around the target. Interesting. Nope, not in range. So what I'm trying to do here is help out everybody's ultimates. Okay. So this is the first time we're using Weather Vane, so I'm not going to make the mistake I did last time, and I'm actually going to take a look at all of their abilities. So the ultimate deals damage to all enemies in range, hitting each enemy once. Doesn't it say how the ultimate charges? I'm sure it said it when I was introduced to him, but I absolutely do not remember. Okay. Chain Lightning, damage a target in range, damage arcs to additional targets in range. Targets in range includes barrels. So I'd have to move for that to work. Damage and knockback an adjacent enemy. Mindfire adds 1 initiative to Weather Vane. Target anyone in a straight line, knocking them back causes disarm. Well, I do like the idea of disarm. Okay, I think... Okay, so I want to try and move up 1. Okay. Maybe 2. Works for me. That's probably going to complicate things for me a bit. Just got to have a flaming man every once in a while. So, as fun as it would be to try and do the punch, what I want to do is gust. Oh, you're kidding me! I wanted to disarm this guy. This is the whole point of walking through the fire. Alright, well, hopefully the knockback will damage the guy behind him. They're tearing us up! Alright, so... teleport spin, I think, is a pretty obvious choice. The only thing is I probably could have positioned people better. Almost too easy. Almost. Okay. I suppose the last... I'm a little worried that this guy is gonna... Oh, nope. They're going after... Oh, maybe not. I thought they might go for... Trying to rescue the snitch. We can't let him talk. Shit, more of them. Better keep those crystals coming. Speaking of, it does tell me I should use this shield. So prevent an ally from taking damage from their next attacker. Alright, well... That's... a good one to start with. Wait. Wasn't that the disarm attack? What on earth is happening? I'm confused. If you'd like, I kind of feel like it should... I feel like that should have happened. Okay, let's... My power is growing! The disarm bar has 2 notches. Oh, so there's that like lower, there's this like lower bar below, there's like a certain value that you need to hit to disarm someone? Okay, I'm assuming at some point it will, the fire damage will stop. I'm not quite ready to change the chain lightning. I will hit this guy with the gun. No, because then he's going to hit the witness, which is not a good thing. I'm trying to think of the best way to I'm trying to think of the best way to take this guy out. So, no catches, I just moved him out of the range of the people who I wanted. Yeah, I wasn't really thinking straight on that. Okay. Okay, so it's pretty clear I want to try and take advantage of the different abilities. Okay, now unfortunately, Rebound's not close enough to be able to help me out here, so... Oh, this complicates things quite a bit, actually. Because what I want to do is actually move Rebound up like this. No, I think I actually have a way of making this work, but yeah, I will delay them. Now, whether or not I can actually get into range of these guys so that we can end by the 4th turn, kind of an open question. Well, maybe. I'm only going to be able to do that trick a certain number of times, I think. Okay. Sacre bleu! Yeah, I don't have the range for any of my abilities, so that's that. So I guess what I originally wanted to do was, yeah, you know what? This isn't going to work. Because saying is like, okay, how about I move Rebound up? Like, so what I originally wanted to do was do like the teleport spin on this like middle group of guys. Essentially, I wanted to just try and teleport Facet so that I could use the ultimate. Now, I guess I don't have to use the ultimate. I think I'm just going to take my chance. Oh, damn it. I don't get to do anything cool. No, actually, sorry. I can just move up a bit. This is Cape Town! Yeah, so I didn't know that I'd be able to knock him off the edge like that, but maybe we will finish after all. Okay, so I gotta be really specific in the order that I do this. Actually, I think I'm gonna fail no matter what. Okay, so I'll start by removing the crystallize effect. What I want to do is move as close as I can get to the action so that I can hopefully get teleported by my ally. Problem is I still don't think that's going to be enough. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Don't get to damage anybody. But I at least get to use my ultimate. Yeah, so didn't complete it by the 4th round. So I'm almost wondering if I should just like prolong the fight so I can use his shield shard. Run away! I'm assuming that this is deliberately like kind of contradictory in terms of aims, because I feel like I'm extending this fight solely so that I can achieve a couple of these goals at this point. Because like at this point here, like missing out on the complete the mission before the 4th round, you know, I definitely don't mind, you know, waiting a couple extra turns because I know I'm not going to get any hero KOs, so I might as well get the 2 points rather than lose the 1. Oh, you're supposed to shield shard the civilian and let him take early? Huh. Because that doesn't seem... I don't think sharding the civilian is really consistent with completing the mission early. Like, obviously we're able to take out those guys really quickly without using the shield shard. Anyway, neither here nor there. Good riddance. Thank you for saving me. I never wanted to take the stand, but someone has to stand up to these criminals. You've shown me that we can stand up to them. I'll tell everyone how you saved me. Just be careful out there. You added shards to Hands of Fate. I discovered that I can type that word without ending it. Sorry, I didn't realize just how... I don't know, how dynamic all that would be. It's like a good action movie. It's way more kinetic when it's you they're shooting at. Trust me. Aren't you going to introduce me? Oh yeah, this is Mindfire, Rebound, and Weathervane. Hi, hey. Team, this is Bino. Pleased to meet you. I understand we're still at codename levels of familiarity here, but yours are much cooler than mine. How'd you end up being called Bino? Long story. No, it's not. It's not that long. Embarrassing story. Oh, now you have to tell me. Not today. Thanks again. If you want to hear how he became Beano, purchase this game as a pre-order DLC. And a pleasure to meet you, Rebound. Specifically Rebound. I know my outfit ain't his skin tight, but he might have at least said goodbye. Don't get jealous, Mindfire. Oh, I love that he called him out for that. I don't date coworkers. I know. But you're fun to tease. This is one thing. So, someone whose writing ability I'm certainly very I hold in very high regard, wrote something quite nice about the writing in Hand of Fate 2. Basically just how natural the dialogue sounded. And that was actually one thing I kind of noticed. And again, I'm assuming it's the same writers. It may not be, but one thing I actually kind of like about this is the specific goodbye that he gives to the cute one of the group, basically. So that's, obviously I'll point that out, but I also kind of like how the I like that the game also pointed it out, but it didn't point it out in the way that some games that have a little bit less respect for the player will. Like some games really say, here, and for those of you that didn't notice, here is that specific thing that's provoking that response. Whereas this one was a little bit more of a natural kind of back and forth. It still makes the same point, but it does it in like the kind of way that you would imagine people talking. So I like that. Although I'll admit, I'm not crazy about the fact that the dialogue sort of moves on its own. It definitely makes it a little bit trickier from a streaming perspective, at least for me, because I talk a lot during the cutscene. Cutscenes are the chance for me to chat, so that, like, for me, that's a natural pause to unpack what just happened and then be able to engage at my own pace. But obviously missed out on a line there, so. Yeah, well, the thing is, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it's more than just banter in my mind. Like it like the dialogue, and this might just be because I've been reading more short stories lately, but like it does actually serve a purpose, right? Like sometimes the witty banter can just be there because it's like it's like it's a funny line. Like, so if you think of Succession, right? Like there are so many okay, actually, here's a great example. So Succession is full of just like tremendously brutal like put downs and like just cutting lines and all of that. And like some of them are like they're totally justified because they're like funny and like that's fine enough for banter. But I think some of the better lines in terms of Succession are not necessarily the funniest insults, but they sometimes reveal a little bit about the characters. So a great example of this is in the first season of Succession, you've got Kendall talking to Frank. Apologies for those of you who haven't seen the show, but you don't necessarily need to know that much about the characters to get this. But he's worried about a group of investors known as the Canadians and what they think of him. Frank is sort of his advisor, his mentor. It might even be his godfather now that I think of it. He says, Frank, I need you to, I need to know what the Canadians think of me. And like, he's well, why do you need to know that? And there's some back and forth, but basically it's clear this character needs to know what these people think because he's going to make a fairly significant move, which does wind up involving these people. He says, well, they're tough characters. They tell off-color jokes. He's obviously not wanting to tell this guy Kendall what they think of him. And he's like, come on, Frank, give it to me straight. And he says, like, well, behind closed doors, they've called you the calamari cock ring. I don't know what that means. And then the reply from Kendall is, well, I think it's pretty obvious, Frank. They think I'm a cock ring made of calamari. Now, I mean, the alliteration of calamari cock ring is kind of funny on its own. But what I really like about that dialogue is I don't think that's what the insult is. Like, I don't know if there's another kind of calamari, but that is not a particularly large circumference. And I think that's the thrust of the insult, so to speak. And what I really like is the fact that Kendall is either unable or probably just unwilling to acknowledge what the real insult in there is, which is a little bit more about his size, and of course, particularly as that will relate to his business acumen in this particular series, rather than, the fact that it's just kind of like a dirty joke. That's at least what I got out of it. And one of the things that I like about that line is that in addition to being, admittedly a funny insult, I think anyway, it actually winds up also serving another purpose in terms of revealing a little bit about character. So again, it's not, I don't want to jump. Sorry, Johnny, if you feel like I'm kind of jumping down on you for saying witty banter. It gives me a platform to kind of be able to highlight one of the things that I particularly like about a particular kind of clever line, which is that, number one, it's good as a moment, and it's funny or amusing, or it justifies itself because it's entertaining. But what I liked about the dialogue in that particular end actually was it reveals a little bit about each of the individual characters, right? What kind of interest the investigator has in these particular characters. And again, that dynamic is pointed out by one of the characters in the group. So it is noticed by the group, and it is perhaps not coincidental that it is the telepath. And in fact, it's entirely possible that the whole reason the telepath says it out loud is because the telepath says it out loud because perhaps he doesn't necessarily think that the other members of the team are capable of picking up on those subtleties, right? If you're an individual who has, the kind of a window into the content. Well, telepath might be a little bit strong because he's kind of talking about who has loud and soft signals. But he might be the kind of person who has to say the quiet part out loud because maybe he doesn't necessarily respect the intelligence of the people that he's hanging out with, right? Particularly because, it seems like he's wheelchair bound. The other two are meathead athletes. Or, of course, this might be the stereotype that one, has in mind. And then, of course, the final bit is, her reaction, which could be either directly picking up on the fact that this character really does have a crush on her, or at the very least is impish enough to enjoy, ribbing him about this stuff. And there isn't necessarily enough inside of the dialogue for me to make firm decisions in terms of who these characters are and where they are in that. But the thing I like about that dialogue is that it's a few lines, but you can see that there's quite a bit that you can unpack out of that. And that's actually why I particularly everybody sort of says naturalistic dialogue is a good thing, but I don't necessarily think that's the pinnacle. It's better than wooden dialogue or the sort of here is the line that is specifically intended to advance the plot. I'm certainly not I'm not going to pretend that I know. I like to think I have some kind of a flair for writing, but it's clearly nonfiction. If I have ability in writing, it's clearly in nonfiction rather than in fiction. But with that in mind, I at least can sort of appreciate what I can't do enough to be able to say, man, I really like just how much they've been able to pack into that one line. Also, it got me a chance to say calamari cockring multiple times on stream, which is a rare opportunity. Anyways, Valiant Cheese says, believable character dialogue is something you've never felt good at. You always feel like your dialogue between characters sound like one person's inner dialogue. You have a lot of respect for people who can pull it off. It's about whether you can communicate something to the reader through that dialogue more. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, again, it's not necessarily to say, there are perfectly enjoyable works that don't pull off, naturalistic or, believable character dialogue. I have been told that I don't want to pretend that I've never tried to write fiction. One nice bit of feedback that I got on one of the few bits of fiction that I've written was that the dialogue written did actually seem to be coming from multiple different people. And, first of all, the person didn't really know that I was a writer, but particularly they did not know that I had the capacity for speaking anyway but as myself. And they they have a nice way of putting it, but like it's very clear that I have I have a particular way of speaking, let's say. As an aside, have you played Spicy Meatball Save Today? I started it. I actually had a little difficulty getting around originally, so I wanted to get back to it, but I've not played beyond the first encounter. And I've been meaning to pick it up, so probably not far enough to be able to make meaningful comment on it. Jeez. I know I said I was going to play that. I did open it up, but I had a little trouble with it when I first started, and I figured that was maybe because I was overburdened, so I need to get back to it. All right. We'll get to the end of this game if it's the last thing I do. Mercurial. Unlock a new hero Mercurial and various abilities and upgrades for your team. More abilities and upgrades are now available. Unlock new hero Mercurial, Facets, Retaliate, and Counterattack upgrades, Mindfire's focus ability and ultimate uses upgrade, Rebounds, Unaware Backstab, and Teleport Spin Backstab damage upgrades, and Weathervane's Leap ability, Gust Disarm upgrade, and Shock passive. Mercurial. Striker, a well-trained fighter with a keen strategic mind. Mercurial has found herself aligned with the goals of Doctrine's crew, but shocked by their lack of training and skills. Her superior speed allows her to position herself on the battlefield, knocking enemies into hazards and away from other teammates. Every attack she makes charges her ultimate. Okay, so I'm getting the impression here, based on the characteristics of the two Striker characters, is that Striker means lady. No, basically, high mobility and with powerful attacks, as opposed to the attackers that might be ranged or not. You specifically avoid dialogue in that. When you interact with people, it generally says you talk to the man. What's a couple of fine strikers like you doing in a dump like this? That's what I say when I have a couple of fine strikers in my room. Sorry, never mind. The next mission, Greater Power, takes place further into the story near the beginning of the second act. There are acts in games? Mind blown. This mission will challenge you to use all the skills you've learned thus far and give an opportunity to try out different hero combinations. Good luck. Alright, so I think this is the game warning me that I'm about to get my ass handed to me. Yeah, okay. More citizens are being pulled from the streets by the company. Optional objectives, stealth, interesting. Disarm, use team-ups, ultimates, and no hero KOs. Okay, so we have to bring the Divine Wind. Sorry, I'm really bad. I was going to say Windbreaker, but I think that's a... Okay, I think I'm actually going to go for an all-damage squad. There have got to be more cost-effective ways of... No mercy for terrorists. I didn't do anything wrong. Shut your face and get in your cell. I fucking told you. They're taking anyone with a touch of power right off the streets. Just like they did to me. We just scope the environment. Ensure that we have the best position before we engage. These kids play for keeps. You do that. I'm gonna drop 40,000 volts right through that guy's dick. We're saving that kid. TJ, wait. Shit. Guess we're making a fight of it then. Let's move. Let's move? Him going on about fried dicks was a bit much. But we for sure need a better rallying cry than that. Quit it, you two. We don't have the time. Unaware enemies do not attack or pursue heroes and are vulnerable to extra damage when attacked. Defeat alert enemies before their turn to prevent them from setting off the alarm. Okay. So I technically get a... Ugh. I should have done it the other way around. Okay, now sadly that's not going to be enough to completely take out this guy, but we should be able to... Stealth is still active. Okay, so quick hands, damage and disarm an adjacent enemy. That's 2, so that should be able to take the PMC out. Thrust, rebound. So one thing I'm not clear on is if I were to knock this if I were to try the push instead of the disarm. Well, this is a 0.5. I actually should have used it on this guy. Okay. Well, that tells me it only does 2 damage here. And I can't delay anymore, so... I would have loved an undo button. Oh, okay, well. This is Cape Town! And I guess we'll just charge our ultimate, because there's not much else I can really do about this. It's a little weird that I can move forward. Oh, wow. I didn't even realize there's a guy up on the roof there. Well, that's fine. We'll make slightly better use of the turn. Okay, so normally I would have wanted to try and do the hurt... normally I would have wanted to try and do vulnerable. Well, actually, I guess I can still do vulnerable because we'll have actions that we can let rebound take, so... More importantly, we also get to knock him off the roof. Well played, Egghead. I guess that doesn't quite count as a this is Cape Town moment. So I should be... Oh man, I gotta use 8 team-ups. I gotta get on this. Alright. Huh? In this case, probably charging. Well, I can spin. I'm not necessarily going to spin anywhere I need to be, but I think that still counts as a team-up. Haha. Now, I probably shouldn't try to engage both roofs at the same time. There is no time limit on this, so... I'm not quite sure how I get the camera up a little bit higher, but it looks like there's 2 people up there. Let's see if I can actually do anything with it. Man, are they really not going to let me see any higher on this? You folks are cruel. Okay, so... It's not my best option, but it does at least some damage. Now, basically, I better hope that I can take these 2 guys out in time, because my team's really split up. Oof. All right. There's some possibilities there. Close, but yeah, we gotta dash, otherwise it doesn't. So if I just dash... Okay, yeah, so I can dash through the guy. And set myself on fire. Alright, this is not gonna end well for me. I really don't see a way that I'm going to be able to take everyone out in time. Gain an additional action and the option to reuse any ability at the cost of all movement. Fascinating. Unfortunately, I don't have the range I need for this. Yep, this guy's gonna sound the alarm no matter what. Alva's really has these guys wrapped around his fingers. All right. So... no way! Oh, that's so frustrating. So I think if I'd moved here, well, then maybe I wouldn't have been in range for mine for... Yeah, okay, fair enough. I feel like knocking them... Okay, I gotta try it. This will probably just be another form of alert, but... What?! Oh, God. I just need that little bit more. Oh, hang on. We still get to kick the crap out of this guy, so... Okay, never mind. We're screwed. You think the other guys on the roof? How do they see me? Man, this... I really feel like some of this stuff should be signaled a bit better. I'm sorry, I'm turning into one of those streamers, but I definitely... Like, I'm definitely getting a very high degree of post-cognition in this game, in the sense that I feel like I figure out what the game wants me to do after after I needed to do it, or like after it like made me, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it. Like, I feel like it's I learn about what I need to do just a little too late compared to where I would have wanted to. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to drag this guy into the fire, sadly. So gotta find a way to disarm this character. This at least lets me avoid the fire, but I don't know if it really accomplishes all that much after. Could also just jump down and try and beat the crap out of this guy, but like, what does that really get me? It's a start. Okay, now I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure how I'm gonna protect this hero from getting burned up. So clearly, we want to repeat the. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much else for me to do. Well, that's not entirely true. I could go to my death. So if I had another action that I could perform, I would prefer that. But right now, yeah, I think I'm just gonna charge the ultimate. I'm assuming there's going to be consequences for the fact that I've ignored the people with guns. But I'm not 100% sure how I'm supposed to deal with them given the range. So it's not 100% clear to me whether or not I get set on fire. I guess it would say ignores obstacles. Yep, nope, I screwed myself. Nuts. I think I need to get a little bit better at checking the ranges on things. So a lot of wasted turns this time, at a time I probably can't really afford to be doing that. Okay. The problem I have with this move is that I can do the shadow. Well, see, what's not clear to me is whether or not I can actually go into this alley after the move. So the problem is I don't know what the exit strategy is if I do an attack down in the base level here, even if I get a backstab. Seems there's a lot of people with nasty weapons who can do bad things to me. So let's see if we can survive. I suppose the good news is it's going to take them a while to get to me, but I think now I really do need to figure out what I'm doing against the bad guys. Okay, so for starters, let's just walk into the fray. So if I lightning bolt, that does a spectacular job of blowing myself up. So we won't do that. What? Come on! Oh! This is so annoying. Alright, well, another wasted turn. Actually, I wonder... Okay, that pulls it. Yeah, I can't gust it either. I'm at the point now where I want to say, what is the harm in adding an undo button at this point? I think I feel like I have been frustrated more by the absence of being able to, like, make a, the absence of, like, making an informed decision rather than, you know, feeling like the experience has been lessened by being able to reset stuff. Okay, so I've lost my ability to do stuff with allies. Just trying to find my highest damage attack. This is charging up Mind Fire, but I do actually need to figure out how to protect this character, and I think I've already failed in that regard. Well, that's not entirely true. I could dash through this guy. I don't think that'll entirely protect them, but... yeah, we'll Sir Robin it. Definitely not getting the no KO this time. Okay, given that this might be the last turn that this guy is alive, let's throw him into danger and see if we can do some exciting things. So, wait. No more vulnerability. Alright, well that sucks. Yeah, well, I mean, I say undo button, but I suppose the other way of looking at it might be, you know, some way of better communicating sort of the consequences of certain actions, because I definitely feel like I've been kind of clear in terms of what I want to do, and yet it sort of feels like the opportunity hasn't quite turned out. Right. I'm actually slightly astonished we didn't lose anybody that time. Okay, so I feel like trying to get the lightning on these guys is probably the top priority. So I guess the inference I would draw would be 1, 2, 3. Yeah, see, I don't think that's going to be enough, but we don't really have any other options at this point. And I'm not even close enough to be able to... Oh my god. It's the same friggin' problem again. So I'm like, okay, well, as a plan B, you know, maybe I'll just attack the PMC, but I was like, nope, you used all your moves because you used all your moves, so now you're not able to do that other option here. Ugh! Alright, well, I'll do the one thing I can. Act more frequently for a number of turns. Ugh, I mean... We'll see. They just don't do that much damage, though, so... I don't think I'm going to be able to make this work with Mind Fire in time, so it's probably better I just hit the... Okay, miraculously this guy is not toast. So out of the, I can't really do 2 rounds of damage, so let's weaken them. Oh, god damn it, I wanted to do the ultimate afterwards. Ugh! I was really enjoying this, and then being faced with a difficult mission is making me realize all the different ways that there's kind of seem to be so I kind of get why the turn ends the way that it does because I've taken my basic actions, but clearly I could have used the ultimate, and that was absolutely my intention. Oh, that's a bug? Yeah, because it's like I was like, okay, well, you know, I'll do the regular attack. We'll see where the damage is, and all right. Anyways, we kind of knew, like, there wasn't a way we were gonna win this, so. Try and mop up as best as we can. Okay, so my hope for avoiding KOs here... Oh wait, no, that isn't avoiding a KO, because if I put her in danger then... Well, okay, anybody but Weathervane's gonna get taken out, so... Okay, sadly that won't be damage from behind. But I can at least run away. Okay. So I don't see any way that I can take this guy. Well, hang on. So if we move... Okay, well I can disarm this guy, but I think I still get taken out, even if I disarm him. But let's see... Let's at least try for it. If I move up, that really takes my whole move? Jesus. We may actually pull this off without losing someone. I think best I can hope for is just to move in and Okay. Now it actually makes a little more sense for me to run off. Oh no, there's this Joker still sitting around. Duh! That's on me for not paying closer attention. So what I was thinking of doing was, well, no, actually I don't need to give up yet because I still have Mindfire. Yeah, Mindfire to possibly save the day, assuming that he's got the range. So we do the damage that we can here. Ah! So apparently he's stuck. That's the only way I can interpret that. I'm curious if I just end this before reviving. Well, it's not like I can do anything else, so... I mean, the other possibility is... okay, I guess I would need somebody who can... The thing is, I don't actually want to be in range of the assault rifle, because just because he hasn't moved doesn't mean that he can't do other nasty things to me. So, like, I'm almost wondering if, like, this area isn't accessible. Of course I can't. Ugh. I better be able to lightning bolt this guy. That was the last of them. Let's free those kids. Thank you. I don't know what they were going to do to us. Ah! Huh? What's going on? Hang on, we're here to help. It's not Paul's toddlers causing trouble once again. Although I guess he's doctrine to you now. Oh god. I've heard he just hunts supers. Kills them for fun. This must be who Doc warned us about. Kids, you should just drop this. Let us rescue that poor child. They don't have long unless somebody helps. We can help them. Unfortunately, you cannot. This is all your fault. Ah, the fish that got away. I'll kill you. Sorry, I'm really not good at reading in-game dialogue, so... From there, I doubt it. We never finished with you, but don't worry. There'll be plenty of opportunities ahead. I'm gonna kill you for what you did to me. You already said that. That's the trouble with your type. All muscle, no charm to back it up. Nightjar, show these children what real power looks like. Stop them, but don't kill the capes. We can save them all, regardless how willing they come. I was going to reply to that decree, but I don't know if it's going to advance the dialogue with me. I do like games with lots of reading. It's just when it's actual dialogue to be read, like it's like I kind of acknowledge that I'm not very good at that. Okay, heavy reduced effects of push, dash, strike next turn. All enemies in facing direction causing high damage can be disarmed. Okay, so I'm assuming if I, like, standing in front of them, then I'm screwed. So I think the best I can hope for here is to just focus down a target as best as I can. Right, if I want to use my ultimate, I gotta do that first. I don't get ultimate points for damaging with my ultimate. And actually, I'm not in danger here anymore, so I'll focus instead. So I suppose my options here now are... Power is growing. Okay. As always, question. I think going for the backstab is usually the better call. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if that means they're going to charge into their ally. So I would have attempted to go for the backstab damage here, but I don't think that's the right call on the chance that they wind up attacking in front. I suppose I can try this, though. I'm curious when it comes to knockback. Okay, it's basically the same damage. Oh, you know what? So I was just thinking, like, I can try and do, like, 2 damages for the knock damage. The problem is I'm not going to be able... Or maybe I will be able to move after. I can't remember. So again, I'm assuming that this guy's going to go charging into their own. That may not happen, but... deals damage to all enemies in range, hitting each enemy once. I feel like I kind of want to get into right into the mix. Ah! That's not exactly how I wanted to do this, but... Problem is, this means I'm not going to be able to find out whether or not that enemy would have cleaved through his own people. Why are they back to full health? Oh, okay, well, screw me. I'm assuming this is how game developers tell you the demo is over. Um, can't save everyone. He's got lightning though, so. I don't think I've been softened up. I think I've been completely tenderized. All right, so I'm sorry to do this. I am interested in this game. I have absolutely no interest in doing this level again. So I'm debating about, like, just calling the stream here. But on the other hand, if you guys really want to see this mission again, I'm willing to do it to do the extra half hour. But I will be honest with you. Like, if I was playing this demo on my own, this would be the point that I stop and uninstall. And it's actually, I feel very conflicted about it because, like, obviously I know somebody who's contracting on the game, and that's Valiant Cheese. So, like, obviously it feels bad to be very frank about breaking points for it, but I would say by far, so, like, there is a certain, I can understand the difficulty ramp that's going on here, right? The previous levels that I'd been doing were sort of tutorials. They had, they were marked as easy, and now I'm being put into a hard mission. But the difficulty with the ramp up for the hard mission is actually less about the fact that it's a difficult mission for me. The thing that's really getting me is the fact that I really don't feel I'm being given enough information to make good decisions. And I can sort of understand that happening a couple of times and me saying is like, okay, I really just don't understand how this game works. But I feel like the number of times where I've made what I consider to be a very defensible choice only to sort of turn around and find out that not only can I not do the thing that I was thinking of, but I'm actually in a very compromised position as a result. Is the biggest thing that makes me say, okay, so assuming that I'm able to do all the stealth stuff that I need to do, I also have this nonsense that I need to, to deal with at the end. No, this is where I'm done with the demo, and the full version of the game, at the very least I will have been able to build my team and sort of spec them out in a way that, like, essentially what I think the difference is that by the time I would run into this in the game on its own, because I've selected and, like, built up my squad enough that, I've got preferences in terms of abilities and my ability to, to do certain combinations. I sort of feel like that's probably one big thing that's missing from my experience of this as somebody playing a demo versus the original intent behind this level, which again happens much later on in the game, where you're sort of embodying a certain amount of knowledge in terms of how the game works and what's a reasonable expectation in terms of what your abilities are versus another. So this is why I sort of say I don't like becoming one of the I think one of the big ones for me is this is why whenever I'm very self-conscious about being, like, quote unquote that kind of streamer in terms of, like, God, devs, fix your game. Like, when I talk about not feeling like I have enough information, that's the type of feedback I normally try to give if I have to, like, write down like, feedback forms. I mean, you've all seen me play games like Phantom Brigade or or whatever, where I'll do bug reports and that. If you get too prescriptive in terms of how to make it work, so, like, a good example of this would be where I'm saying, like, Would it really kill you to put in an undo button? And Valiant Cheese says, actually, an undo button's really hard to do. Like, that's obviously not what I said, but I said it's like, I'm really feeling like I've been dicked a few times by this game, and I feel like an undo button would have fixed that, is essentially what I was communicating. And, Cheese says, is like, well, if we were to put an undo button in, that would be really difficult. And obviously something that's really difficult means you pull resources away from other material, other things that could be in the game that you could potentially really enjoy. Whereas if I say something like, I don't really have the information I need to be making effective decisions in a mission that requires me to make effective decisions to do it well, that's something that a team who knows how to make games, as opposed to me who knows how to play games, that's something that a team can probably act on in a way that's more consistent with their vision, right? And that's, at least in terms of feedback, generally how I try to approach these things. But yeah, so like when I talk about a lack of information, the thing I could be missing out of this is just simply the fact that I haven't spent enough time with these characters to understand how they work well together in a way that would result in me winning the mission. So I guess I would put it to you this way. I said, right, like the thing is that I do enjoy streaming in and of itself. A half hour extra on stream is not the end of the world, right? Would you guys like to see another attempt on this? Or should we just kind of call it there? Or like just do just chatting for a half hour or whatever? Because like I'm not mad enough at this to say I'm never going to play this again, right? Like I'm happy to take another crack at it. If it means that we get to spend some time together. But if I was doing this on my own, my reaction to this point in the demo would have been like, I'm done. Yeah, I mean, I realize you've got a special place here, Valiant Cheese, but like I'm not gonna single you out for like, oh God, you're making me play this game I don't want to do. So there's always Spicy Meat. That's true. I could play Spicy Meatball. I don't know. Does anybody want to see Spicy Meatball, or should we try Capes one more time and see where we go with this? I'd have to put in the request for the key. Okay, I'm not getting like a firm answer one way or the other from chat, so I'll hit retry because Cheese mentioned wanting to see. So one of the things I'm gonna be running into from what Cheese. So first of all, I think it's absolutely unforgivable. I can't zoom out any higher on this. This is very difficult to. Oh, this is interesting. So is this their ability to walk? I guess like this. I feel like there should be some way for me to get to. Not. I think you're lying to me, Cheese. This is. I'm. Wait, what? So why couldn't I do this before? Is it limited by where the camera is over the map? Oh man, that is super counterintuitive then. Yeah, because I was trying a lot on this level. Okay. So like here's one of the examples that I still don't quite understand how this works. We've got a guy looking out over the edge, right? And apparently we did trigger the people on the other side of the roof. I have genuinely no idea how far these guys can see. So apparently they can't see into the alley, which it might be better to kind of go into the alley. Yeah, like I'm now again, in fairness, maybe this was about the zoom. But like, yeah, I had no idea how I was supposed to keep in mind that people from across the range that they can see has a red outlet. So they can see down here? Because what are these red square's supposed to be about? That's even more confusing to me then. Because, like, when I look at the red tiles here, this says, okay, if I walk in here, people are going to get alerted. So it's like, okay, they can see onto the roof of the other building. That's fair. But, like, I was going to say, it's like, okay, so I guess, you know, I want to be careful in terms of walking around this area here. And I mean, in fairness, like, there is a bit of inference that you can do. Like, this guy's not got their back turned. So, like, who else is seeing this, this area over here, right? But yeah, like I would say, I guess the inference I'm supposed to draw is that I would go through the alley, but that doesn't exactly seem like that doesn't seem like a natural way to approach, you know, security guards on a roof. Ah, I see. Okay. I'm slowly starting to understand. God damn it. I keep forgetting about... Alright. Ah, I forgot about the attack of opportunity. So the dilemma here is... I'm trying to think if it's smarter for me to focus everybody down the center, or if I try 2 teams up. Well, 2 teams aren't going to be able to get 3 people on the roof here, so I think we should head for the... Oh, right, but I can't move anywhere else. I think I just stopped my ability to backstab, but... Oh, I didn't really want to destroy the cover, but... Okay, so they can see down the alley. Oof. It's gonna be a little hard to figure out exactly the best way to make this all work, but I at least have an opportunity for lightning. So I guess if I... I genuinely don't know if I'm going to be able to pull off the lightning. No, why would I? So how the hell, I mean, okay, in fairness, like, yes, of course an explosion is gonna draw attention, but they could have communicated that. I mean, I've looked at the descriptions like this. The portraits, I don't see... I don't know what information I'm supposed to see out of that, but mousing over it, I don't see. Okay, well, at least now I know how to charge the ultimate. But yeah, so I mean, again, like it's hard to be too salty about an explosion alerting enemies, but like this explosion didn't alert enemies. um, so I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with that information. I can't do crap. I mean, we're gonna die in a hail of gunfire pretty quickly, but there's a small hope that if I teleport... Okay, so I'll do focus. Okay. I think they're just gonna beat the crap out of me when I... Well... Okay, it would be better to disarm the people with guns, but I have an opportunity to do damage here. And... well, we'll pull them in closer, I guess. Or not this time? What? Damage enemies knocked into Weathervane? Oh, hang on. I get it now. So if we push into Weathervane, then they take damage. Okay. Okay. So I feel like if I do the half damage here... Well, first of all, can I reach this guy? I can reach this guy. Alright. Although a kick seems just as satisfying. Oh, how much you want to bet? Yeah, can't. Turns out I can't do that after all. Oh well. Maybe we go for... Ooh, Jesus. I didn't notice that guy. Okay, I think I'm going to have to double up the... Oh, but I still can't do damage more than once, so this was a complete waste Okay. God damn it. So they're gonna get an attack of opportunity if I... Ugh, there's really no good way. Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to eat it. Oh, okay. Never mind then. Hmm. Yeah, so I wasn't sure if... the reason for the confusion was I wasn't sure if the ultimate was the thing that reset it, or if it was just the fact that I could... or if it just was sort of like, if you've hit it, there's no limit on the number of times you can do something. That was kind of more where the confusion was. And again, that may have been something that was communicated and I just didn't realize, but... I'm sort of second guessing myself on basically everything in this game now, so. Okay, I think what I can try and do is leap and kick this guy off the edge of the railing. And again, it's tricky for me to see, so let's say, okay, range of 5. Again, this is one of these cases where I have to apologize for being a bit prescriptive, but being able to see exactly what counts as a tile would be sort of helpful here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, I would guess. Oh, but I need to be 1 off to leap. Okay, well, no, that does the trick. Is there a bigger push that I can do? That technically doesn't do damage on its own, but that does disarm the guy. Well, let's try that. Just trying to think if there's a way that I can get people knocked into Weather Vane afterwards, and I don't think so. Yeah, so actually, here's an example of this zooming problem I'm referring to. Yeah, so like, I don't know, if I were to hold down like Shift or Control or something like that. Yeah, so the question about the dam was like, I wasn't sure if like a pushback from 1 would just seem to drop him here, so I'm like, okay, well, we'll try the bigger pushback in hopes of getting him on the barrel. That was kind of the logic. But yeah, so this is a good example of the difficulty that I'm running into as far as the zoom, right? So if I try and like move the mouse back like this, it's not working out. Here, I don't know if you can hear this, but this is the sound of my... I can bring the mouse close to the mic, so... Oh, there it goes! But like, that was a lot of effort. And I sort of feel like I don't need to do that in other games. But like now I can. So like this is why I was genuinely shocked when you claimed that I would be able to zoom out. So but yeah, it's clear I'm experiencing something different from what the intended experience is. So. Okay. This might actually be a time... Yeah. I think I'm going to be able to do much else with the turn, but getting the bonus off the ultimate would be pretty nice. Like a dash. Nah, it's probably better to charge the ultimate. Okay. Targeting people with guns is probably the right way to go. So not to harp on this, Cheese, but like a really good example. So I'll click. Okay, well, actually, the other thing that's possible is that... Okay, so when I clicked on this guy, that wasn't a problem. But like scroll wheeling up, definitely... So like what I was going to try and illustrate was just... let's try left clicking on this guy. So like when I'm limited to this plane... I think I kind of understand how this is working right now. So like the camera's focused on a plane in the 3D space. So when I click on something on the higher level, it does. But definitely there's a difference between being limited to what I can see in this area and make sort of strategic decisions with that. Like I have a very narrow range. For this, it's a little bit easier. But like particularly here, there's actually a considerably limited number of opportunities for me to know that there's an enemy up here. So like let's say that this was just the perspective that I was using most of the time. If I don't notice like the feet, I'm not going to think to worry about this. Am I scrolling while I click? What do you mean scrolling while I click? Normally I will scroll or I will click. I don't hit my left mouse button while I'm using the scroll wheel, if that's what you're asking. But yeah, no, like, I think I understand it, right? It's like, you know, the camera can only go up a certain height. You don't want it to go up for an infinite amount, because then you're going to see the borders of the world. And now I realize that by left-clicking, even just on the ground, it's like, okay, so now I can elevate the camera. But I suppose the way I think of this is that, like, when I start off on this level, and then I try to zoom out further, this definitely communicates to me that this is sort of the boundaries of the world. And generally, I haven't had that much cause to sort of click on somewhere higher. So I think that's probably where that confusion came from. Okay. So I'm going to have to give up the repetition so that I can get the Mercurial bonus. I suppose the other thing I can try for... Oh, no, this is the limits of my ability, so... So I better hope I can do some extra damage to this guy. Oh, well I can if I blow my ultimate. That is a tough call. I think I'll just try and put him in a spot where he can't get shot. And for some reason I am able to use the ultimate this time? Huh. Oh god, I'm so done talking about this. I didn't know to click on the level. That is the problem. Is that apparently either I just don't understand the conventions of gaming enough to know that I need to click on something to get a different set of zooms. I'm thinking this was a mistake to keep playing this. I didn't say clicking. I said scroll. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just going to not engage with chat for a bit. I'm sorry. Think this is enough? Apparently one too far. Like this puts him in a pretty dangerous position, actually. I could have handled that better, but... I don't feel good about that at all. So I kind of feel like if I try and kick them here, this doesn't exactly count as a, like, bumping into Weathervane, but I still kind of want to try it. The problem is that I open myself up to gunfire immediately after. Yeah. It's really interesting. I genuinely thought this guy was going to be able to attack me. Okay, so I would have preferred not to do this, but I'm actually going to try and kick this guy into the group so that the rest of the people can kind of beat them up. Probably not the character who should be sitting on a ledge, like, raining down fire on people, but this is actually not a bad... As it turns out, this has not been that bad of a place for him. Okay, I think he's just gonna expire on his own, and at this point it kind of feels prudent to save for the... Save the ultimate for the big fight coming later. There's absolutely nothing I can do. Oh. That was a lie. But apparently I can't do anything useful. Okay. So I suppose I wind up in the same dilemma as before. Although I guess in this case here I can do enough damage to take this guy out. And... okay, so I need to move up a little bit at least. If I move even closer, I should be able to get the backstab. Now, I suppose knowing that we're going to have a big fight coming up soon, I kind of want to just move everybody on the rooftop so we can triage the enemies. Oh, well, no, it's going to force us into that position. So, based on what happened before, I'm still wondering if the right call is to kind of run for the hills. That doesn't exactly feel like a very hero-y thing to do, though. Well, that didn't do that much damage. Could try moving within range of... yeah, I think we'll focus down whatever big guy we can first. Really thinking we'd be able to do a little bit more lightning damage there. Yeah, it doesn't really seem to matter. Well, okay, now this was, again, this was one of these weird case. Oh, hang on, I think I get it now. So there's these red dots which indicate... I'm guessing that... well, no, hang on. They still recharged after... yeah, I still don't think I know how that ability works. I suppose the question is, do I want to... yeah, well, I'll still unleash the ultimate. Okay, yeah, so that's what that red dot means. Okay, so probably Focus is the name of the game here. A little too far away from Weather Vane. We've already disarmed them, so yeah, I think being able to do the extra actions is probably more desirable. I'm an idiot. I should have made them vulnerable first. Oh well. Now, again, I'm less clear on why I'm able to do a second ultimate here. So, my preference clearly would be to make someone vulnerable and then hit them again with the ultimate. But I know I'm not going to be able to do that. So, do I accept the huge beating that I get? No. I think I'll just settle for taking... I'll go for the guaranteed hits. I think I prefer doing maximum damage to these two. So the reason I second guessed the attack on this guy is because I see Weather Vane's up next, so I should be able to use lightning on him. That does leave somebody with a gun free to cause problems, but again, I have to kind of pick my battles at this point. Okay, now, unfortunately... So I don't think the lightning's going to wind up taking out both of these guys. So as it turns out, I'm actually going to have to move up like this. Might as well get the initiative out of it. Okay, so the question is whether or not we're going to be able to do anything to the PMC in time. So if I want to do anything like that, I'm definitely going to need to... So one of the things that I'm noticing is because you can rely on your links and all of that, one of the big challenges in terms of communicating information is that you have to factor in where... It's not just where your people currently are, but where they're going to be in the future. And if you don't have the immediate idea, so if I was going to say, it's like, okay, so my hero is going to be here, and that link requires on sort of 5 tiles. Like, one thing I easily could have done was move Mercurial up like this. But it's not entirely clear how close they need to be able to take advantage of the vulnerability. So that's going to have implications here, because I'm pretty sure if I move Mindfire, say to this point, they're still not going to be able to target this PMC. But if I move them close to this PMC, it does mean that they're very likely to get hit. It does mean that they're going to... it means that they're very likely to going to be in danger. Now, the one bit of good news is that I do have the option to disarm. So... if I just standard... Yeah, so here's how I'm going to do this. We'll teleport. Focus. Alright, well, not quite how I wanted to handle it, but it should still have the same effect. So that at least buys us some time. Obviously I wanted to put some vulnerability on these guys, but... okay. That's going to have some implications in terms of like how much damage they can take in future, but they are slightly tankier than some of my other people. Okay, now this is some decent lightning damage, and it does give me the ultimate. So I think what I'll do is I'll throw myself right into the thick of it. And hopefully I can do some kind of a knock to... it doesn't quite do what I want, but... I suppose suppose the best bet here is to actually move back a bit so that Mindfire can take advantage of some of the boosts. So I think probably the way to handle this is to just focus this guy down. So not entirely surprising that they're going to go for the weapon. The big deciding factor here is going to be whether or not I can get rebound close enough, and I don't think they're going to have enough for the teleport spin. Second best is Shadow Blast, though, so... So what I'll do here is we'll teleport... So what I wanted to do was use the teleport with rebound to get behind this guy and kick him closer. That really does not move him as far as I want. So that's really just about shortening the distance that I need to move in. Now, weirdly enough, I actually kind of want to do the opposite here, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. So maybe the next... Well, no, that's end of round, so... Because the problem here is, like, I want to blow up that barrel and push the guy in. I guess the one bit of good news is that they do move... I have at least one character that moves before this unit, so... Yeah, screw it. So the idea is we push him into the fire when we can. Or it may not be necessary. No, actually, let me... This ain't getting any easier, but at least we're done. Help me! That's what we're here for, kid. You're coming with us. Oh god, it hurts so much! Back up, TJ! Shit, are you okay? Okay, well, I clicked over the dialogue. What did that do to them? There's nothing you could have done, TJ. Guys? I'd love to give you a moment to contemplate our amazing rescue here. We've got incoming. Time to scram. One... No, you tried, TJ. Okay, are they gonna force me to go through the dialogue now, or are they gonna... Because, like, It definitely feels like this doesn't pick a lane in terms of forcing me to do certain dialogue, and then sometimes forcing me forward. There's one weird difference that I see, and like maybe the choice is just to do something different, but like it's kind of funny that there's enough profanity in this game to sort of, you'd assume that, you know, you're probably looking at a potential like a potential mature or, you know, or like maybe borderline teen. I'm not quite sure what the rate... Like, once upon a time, it used to be you'd get exactly one F word in a PG-13 movie on the condition that it was not used in a sexual sense. And the one exception to that is an old movie called My Best... This is like a really famous example. I would never have heard of this movie otherwise, called My Best Friend's Wedding. And like apparently there were a bunch of indie filmmakers who were like really mad about this, because like the line of dialogue is like, so, like, oh, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, he, just decided to come by so he could F me. And, like, it's basic, the humor of that scene is supposed to be that the actual reason for this guy coming by was more embarrassing than her sort of apparently confessing to the fact that this, they're just so insatiable and animal that, this guy will fly across the country just for that. But it also generated quite a bit of controversy because it's a PG-13 movie, which, because it's starring Julia Roberts, like, it's a fairly high, high budget thing. They were essentially given an exception where, all of these coming of age, indie darlings are being slapped with these R's and being limited in the marketplace for that. The reason why I bring this up is that, like, the profanity doesn't exactly bother me, but one thing I've noticed, and it was particularly when the person blew up, like, whenever somebody dies in this game, it's not that violent of a death, right? Like, we've got a character that's dual wielding swords, but you don't see people cut up. We just saw someone explode, and everybody that dies in this either goes up in a puff of smoke or sort of crumples unconscious, which I'm actually kind of okay with. Like, I actually generally am okay with games not having to push the envelope of violence. I kind of feel like that sort of has played itself out. And even if you look at stuff like Apex Legends, like, it's, yes, there's shooting, but it's actually not that violent of a game when you think of shooters. But the thing is that, like, when you consider foul, like, for whatever reason, you always consider, like, gore and foul language to always be associated with each other, and in no less of a combination than The Boys, which sort of seems to be an inspiration for this. So it's a little weird to see that everybody's kind of sweary. And again, like, not extremely so, but I notice it because I have to say it. But the game is comparatively non-violent. I mean, again, like, just to be clear, like, people are beating each other up and stuff like that. But anyways, you tried, TJ. Just keep seeing the look in that kid's eyes just before they blew. Looking to us for help. Can't save everyone. That's war. People die. You can only hope to leave a worthwhile peace when the fighting is done. I never signed up for this. What happened to that kid anyway? That always happens to people like us. You either harness it or you lose control. What about your powers, Doc? You never mentioned. That kid must have been really strong. The stronger you are, the less time you have until it all goes haywire. You make it sound like all capes lose it in the end. Most do. And you don't want to be around when it happens. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. So I think the thing that they're potentially setting up. So there's two things that I'm getting out of this. So there's another comic book adaptation reference. So there's two ideas being worked with here. So there's the ticking time bomb of, like, if you don't harness your powers, you're going to be you're going to explode. Obviously, the way that the dialogue is being delivered here also gives it sort of the Dark Knight, right? Either you die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. So there is this idea when you're talking about losing control. The direct reading of this is, you explode. But there is either explicitly or thematically, this idea of the corrupting influence of power. The other thing that's definitely being reinforced in these different cutscenes is the... I'm sorry, I always keep using this as an example, but I think it's a reasonably good one. For those of you who've ever heard of a White Wolf game called Mage the Ascension, there's... at least on the surface, it sort of seems to be... you've got the cool hippie mages who just want everyone to be free or expand their consciousness or whatever. And the big bad technocracy, which believes that essentially magic is for a special group and that it needs to be sort of controlled and doled out appropriately, and that essentially we live in a much less imaginative and a world of considerably less potential because they're the ones who are deciding the pace at which we need to develop. And I suspect what that might mean, and again, this can work in both meanings, right? Which is the idea of again, the whether real or metaphorical corruption of the superpowers. Again, either this being an event where you go up in a puff of smoke, or you lose control, i.e., you become the bad guy. The idea of the company or the supervillains that won, not necessarily being sort of the mustache twirling, bad people for the sake of being bad, but are essentially an ideology saying, stasis and okay, so I put it to you this way. If I, based on the information that I had here, and somebody said is like, come up with a case for me as to why the company is not the bad guy, or like why these are not just, obviously terrible people. And, obviously we saw them cut down, people, seemingly innocent civilians in front of us. Why... How do you know that how would you convince me that these are anything but the worst possible people? Say that ultimately these are people who think that the stability and order and safety of society overrides maybe the individual priorities of someone to have their adventure or do whatever. Like, this is the bearded guy sort of saying we have a way of dealing with them. Now, again, the way of dealing with them could be, snuff them out on their own, or enslave them, or do any number of, horrible things. But essentially the idea here is to say that, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or whatever Yoda says in that second Star Wars movie. And I mean, like, the thing is that as a defense, I think that's a really poor one, because essentially that's kind of what you're looking at in, like just kind of think of the worst, you think of like the worst Soviet era kind of, the good of the people, the needs of the revolution dictate that you must, undergo this great hardship, comrade. Like, this is definitely not the type of thinking, at the very least, in sort of, as corny as it sounds, in Western societies, this is generally not the kind of thinking that finds much purchase. I'd say even with, like, a lot of the COVID dialogue, there are definitely... Like, so obviously there's something of a debate in terms of the level of masking needed and how much protection we should put in. And there's definitely a very active dialogue that kind of seems to think that a lot of the COVID measures should sort of be in place, if not forever, then at least for a very, very long time. Like, we're like near or at lockdown level. Whereas, I think the problem that I have with that particular point of view is that I just don't think there was the public buy-in for it. I think that the public largely accepted the necessity of the first set of lockdowns because we didn't really know what we were dealing with. There wasn't a vaccine, and that it was temporary, and that probably those measures would not have been accepted had they been introduced as sort of permanent measures. And I think this is the thing that often gets missed by people advocating for, heading to these incredibly restrictive elements again. Now, that doesn't mean that I think we're doing a very good job of of handling it right now. I do generally think that people are maybe a little more relaxed than they should be on some things. I think the real cause here is to, be careful, like vaccinate, get your booster, take care of yourself. And the problem is that when you take a look at the rates for boosters, they're really not there. And that I think is the bigger problem. But again, I don't, like, to me, I'm not wired in such a way that I say, okay, the political class must now, because we're incapable of handling things ourselves, they need to now impose more highly restricted measures. And again, I'm sorry to wade into what can be hot button issues for some people, but I bring this up because usually when you go to Cold War analogies, people already have really strong priors on this stuff. And it's like, if you have, a particular type of communist sympathy, you roll your eyes and like, well, they weren't that bad. Stalin was tough but fair. And, if you're particularly patriotic, you're like, right on, brother, I'm glad Ronald Reagan stuck it to the commies. But essentially, there is the possibility that what the company is presenting is a more communal or social good version. Now, again, like I said, I am not wired in this way to particularly like that way of thinking. I read Harrison Bergeron, which I think you can read for free online. It's by Kurt Vonnegut. When I was in middle school, and that pretty much cured me of any illusions of perfect egalitarianism or, what have you. But I do acknowledge that this is a type of thinking that people embrace. Like, you'd argue that these are something that countries embrace and not necessarily under force. Although I also think the ones that haven't embraced it under force have also ultimately decided to go another way. But that's, again, another conversation. I'm not trying to make a political point here. But I guess that would be potentially where they're going with the company. That in the end, they are performing a necessary function for, the stability and safety of the public. And this means that a particular group of otherwise gifted individuals need to be either safely got rid of or at least subverted towards the end of maintaining that order. And I suspect probably that's where those super soldiers that we had to fight from possibly come from, that the people who are identified as having these powers are ultimately converted into these individuals. Again, I don't know. Obviously, we're only being given fragments of the story, but I have a feeling that there's at least the potential for identifying that motivation for the company. Thank you for playing the Capes demo. Experience the full game when it launches in early 2023. For now, why not try replaying missions with different heroes and team-ups? Absolutely not. And if you enjoyed the demo and would like to keep up to date with Capes, wishlist Capes now. Spitfire Interactive. One other thing I'm curious about, I guess there isn't a credit screen for this, but I'm wondering if... Oh, no, here it is. All right, well, let's do the full credit. So I'm probably going to screw up all the pronunciation, but Cade Franklin, creative director, Sean Eustace, art direction, James Scott, technical director, Dan Treble, programmer, Morgan Jaffett's the writer. Good work, Morgan. Anne-Marie Weber, although, why all the swearing, dude? Anne-Marie Weber, audio designer, Fabio Timpano, character modeler, Grayson Garrett, additional concept art, John Iyer, or possibly Irie, additional art, Felix Waluo, spine animation, Lanny Diana, spine animation, Josh Cheesness-Bush, present in chat, QA, Nemoder QA, Kevin Darganom Madewell QA, Carolyn Udon Cat Chung QA, Will Hamilton QA, Dylan Parrott, additional animation. What I was looking though for was a music credit, because some of the sounds made me think of Exapunks, and I was wondering if the same composer was attached to it. Um, anyways, I don't know if the extra hour, not half hour, was worth it. And I apologize for those of you. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It is not fun to watch someone who is not having a good time, which is why I was rather reluctant to do that. But obviously, I made my choice. So, um, for better or worse, that's that. Let's see. Is anybody playing Godless by any chance? It doesn't even show up. There we go. Nobody doing that. There's actually not that many people online. Phantom Brigade? Industries of Titan. Hand of Fate? Well, sorry, I was lying. It is D-Pain is playing Phantasmaphobia. So he's been streaming for an hour 44 minutes. I hope that means that he'll be on a bit longer. Thank you, Tikri. No problem, Valiant Cheese. Um, like I said, I'm sorry, particularly for the ending bits, which probably weren't that fun. The problem is for apologizing for this stuff. Um, when I'm not being entertaining, everybody who's not having fun is probably already going to have left. And it's only the people who were tolerating it enough or are particularly loyal, um, who are still hanging around. But one way or the other, I apologize for not being on top of things. But I am going to send you to It Is D-Pain. He is somebody who I know from Apocalypse's channel. He is also one of the people who, both him and Apocalypse have had me on their podcast, Pointless Discord, twice. Usually I filibuster the conversation with lots of talk of science fiction books and movies. So I figured at the very least I can leave you in his phantasmaphobic hands, and he will hopefully take you through the rest of the evening. My neck is still sore. I don't know if I want to go to bed early or it's not exactly early, or if I want to try and get some stuff done. Either way, there are going to be some changes for the oncoming week. So I'm going to do my best to stream on Monday, even though it is Canadian Thanksgiving and I'm going to have the day off. I will also do my best to stream on Wednesday, but as it turns out, I am heading out to the UK Thursday evening, and I'm getting my passport at 3 o'clock, and my flight is at 8. So I've got a 5-hour window between getting my passport and flying out, and I will be returning on the 18th. So that means there will not be a stream next Friday, and there will not be a stream on Monday either. That also means interruptions to the YouTube videos and all of that. Anyways, enjoy D-Pain. Talk to you later.